Okay, some of my friends were asking me my recipe for chicken and sausage gumbo. We're going to be making a filet gumbo for the thickener instead of using okra. I just don't like okra. But this is a filet gumbo. You may have to order it online. Some of the supermarkets in various places don't have it, like over here in Japan. The military commissary don't carry gumbo filet. But basically what you got is 2 big yellow onions, 2 big green bell peppers, about 3 stalks of celery, and 5 cloves of garlic. You're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, not the self-rising, just regular white bleached all-purpose flour. You'll need 2 cups of vegetable oil. And then for your spices, ground red pepper, cayenne pepper, like I said, the filet, white pepper, black pepper, salt, and a little bit hot sauce. You're also going to need about 2.5 pounds of pork sausage, or beef and pork. Don't use turkey sausage. That stuff is nasty. It just won't taste right. If you can find it, andouille sausage, and that's how you spell andouille. All right. So 2.5 pounds of that. Then I got 2.5 pounds of chicken thighs that I thawed in the refrigerator. I'm just rinsing it out right now. You're not going to want to cut up the chicken thighs before you put it in the gumbo. You don't want to cook the chicken thighs. You don't want to cook the chicken thighs before you put it in the gumbo. You want the natural juices of the chicken to come out into the gumbo, and you want the gumbo to seep into the chicken. Ideally, you want to cook the gumbo until the chicken thighs start falling apart, shredding by itself. But if it don't, and if you don't have the time, you can hurry it along. Cook the chicken thighs in the gumbo, take it out, and shred it if you want. Okay, so we're going to start on the roux. So I'm going to turn off the camera, get it situated, and show you how it's done. Okay, so you want to start your roux, which all it is just your flour and your oil. And try to turn this around so you can see. So I got 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of vegetable oil. You want to use, the best is a good, nice, seasoned, blackened cast iron skillet. So put your oil in first. Turn on your heat till probably it's about a medium. The trick with the gumbo is you don't want to burn the roux. If you burn the roux, if you start seeing little specks of black in the gumbo, you've burned your roux. Throw it away, start over again. The roux is going to take probably about 30 minutes, and you want to stir it constantly. Now you see I have the whisk. When you add the flour into the oil, once the oil comes up to temperature, you want to whisk in a little bit at a time. Don't worry about scratching your cast iron skillet. Cast iron skillet is not going to scratch. Okay? So now we're just waiting for it to come up to temperature. The thing about your roux, once you add the flour and you start stirring, you cannot walk away from the roux. You're gonna constant stirring. I suggest a wooden spoon. Once you whisk it in, constant stirring. Do not stop stirring. Don't stop to go to the bathroom, answer your phone. Don't do anything. Okay, the oil's starting to get a little bit warm. Turn it down a bit to about a medium low, I suppose. Alright, you're going to start adding the flour. Just a little bit at a time. You want to whisk the flour in so it doesn't clump up on you. And be careful, don't splatter the hot oil on yourself because it's hot. Like the joke about don't cook bacon in the nude. Pretty much the same thing with this. At first, the roux is going to look kind of soupy. Don't worry about it. The flour will thicken up. Alright, just make sure you get all those lumps out. And you'll see the oil start to form little bubbles on top. You're not boiling it. You don't want big, huge rolling boil, nothing like that. Just to make sure all the flour, you got all the lumps out of it. Then take your wooden spoon, turn the heat down just a little bit to about a low heat, and then just constantly stir your roux. You don't have to get crazy with the stirring, just nice slow stir. Stir it around, make sure none of the flour sticks to the bottom of the pan. And if you think the temperature is too hot, just turn it down just a little bit more. You don't want a really hot temperature. Oh, not, you can always start to smell it. Just the flour and the oil smells good. So like I said, it's going to take probably a good 30 minutes. You want the roux to come out looking like about the color of maybe peanut butter, or just a light brown caramel, you know, the caramel candy. I'm not going to keep filming this while I'm cooking it because it's going to take a while. I will show you the end results. Just keep stirring it. Don't get your fire too hot and don't walk away from it. Okay, so we're still cooking the roux. You can see it's starting to change color a little bit, but you still have a long way to go. It looks a little soupy, but like I said, the flour will thicken it up once the flour really starts getting cooking. And you want to end up with kind of like a consistency of maybe not a really thick milkshake, but thick enough to where you can drink through a straw. The milkshake, not the roux, that is. Alright, still cooking it, which is nice slow stirring, nothing crazy. You basically just scraping the sides and the bottom to make sure you don't have any of the flour sticking to it. Alright, we'll turn it off. We'll wait. Okay, So we've been cooking this about 30 minutes. You can see the color is darkened up. And I switched to a whisk right here towards the end, just to make sure nothing is getting lumpy, nothing like that. So go ahead and turn your roux off and let it cool. Now the cast iron skillet is hot, okay, but while the roux is cooling, it's going to thicken up even more. But while it's cooling, you want to kind of stir it around a little bit just to make sure everything is all nice and mushed together. Probably just for 2, 3, 4 minutes after you turn off the heat. Just keep stirring it. Make sure you don't burn the bottom of it, because the cast iron skillet will continue to put heat into it. So you want to make sure you don't burn it. That's the important thing with the roux. You can't burn the roux, or it throws the whole gumbo off. And it's already starting to thicken up, just letting it cool a little bit. And you probably see I got a paper plate there. The roux will stick to stuff. So I got a stainless steel counter, so I'm just going to let that sit there for a little bit. It's going to thicken up. Probably let it cool. About the time it's going to take you to chop up your vegetables to go into here. And it's really starting to thicken up real nice. I'm not going to show you how to chop up the vegetables. I think if I have to show you how to chop up vegetables, you shouldn't be cooking the gumbo. So I'm going to start chopping up my vegetables. I'll come back and show you. We're going to cook it in a pan with just a little bit of oil, just enough to cover the bottom. I'll come back and show you that. Okay, so I got my onions, my bell pepper, celery, and garlic chopped up. Gonna put it in this non-stick pan, a little bit of oil, maybe 2 or 3 times around the pan, putting oil in. Yep. Okay, and what you want to do, you want to cook it until the onions are pretty much translucent, opaque, transparent, whatever you want to call it. And kind of when you're chopping them up, not really huge chunks, but kind of a rough cut, except for the garlic. You want the garlic to be kind of cut fine, because you don't want to bite into a big chunk of garlic when you eat the gumbo. Let that go a little bit, drink a little bit of water. After we cook the vegetables, we'll get to chopping up or slicing up the sausage. And I usually use a thinner slice of sausage, where the sausage is all over, you know, not a big chunk of sausage like that, just a thinner slice of sausage to where pretty much almost every bite has slice of sausage in it. Oh, we have a runner. Yep. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, I'm going to turn off the video for a minute, and we'll come back when the vegetables are ready. Okay, so the vegetables are almost cooked. You see the onions are starting to get kind of opaque. You really smell the celery cooking. So you know when it gets like that, yeah, it's probably done. Okay. Turn off the heat. Place that to the side. Okay, now I was going to tell you about the sausage. Just kind of get the camera in here. Okay, so the sausage, I told you, I'm not cutting it, you know, big lengths like this. Kind of cutting it a little bit thin. You know, something like this, to where it'd be all up in the gumbo. Every bite you take, you have a piece of sausage. So I'm going to keep cutting the sausage, and I'll come back. Okay, so I got my sausage cut up, and got it in the pan. I'm going to kind of brown the sausage a bit. So don't put any oil in the pan. The sausage has enough oil. I'm going to come back when the sausage is brown, ready to go. What you didn't see off camera when I'm pausing it, I'm washing the dishes. This is the same spoon, but I just washed it. Just wash it in between. Don't be nasty. Okay, so brown the sausage. Most of the sausage has a little bit of brown to it. We'll pull one out right here. You can see that's what you want. Not all of them have to be like that, but you're not going to get all of them like that. So sausage is brown. We're going to set this to the side and start putting the roux into the water. Alright, getting back to the roux. You see a little layer of oil on top, but the roux, like I said, like about a thickish milkshake. We're going to come over here to the pot with water. I got about 2 quarts of water in there, room temperature water. I'm going to whisk the roux into the water. You might even want to put a little bit more water. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the water on a pot. I put the heat on. Now I'm just going to whisk the roux little by little into the water. Go ahead and put all of it in. Okay. We're going to whisk it. We're going to bring this up to not a heavy boil, a little bit more than a simmer. We're just whisking it together. break it all up, mix it in with the water real good. And we'll come back to this when it's ready and I'll show you. Okay, so the water and roux is blended together really nice. It'll take about 10 minutes. You see it's not a boil. You got a little steam rising off. So now we're going to start putting some of the sausage and the vegetables and stuff in. A little bit at a time. Don't just dump it in, it'll splatter everywhere. And like I said, I have about 3 quarts of water in here. We're going to add more water once we put everything in there. Let's add the sausage. Yep, see, that's what I didn't want happen. I don't want those splashes. Alright, stir this around. I'm going to turn off the video for a minute while I clean up a few of these splashes. Okay, so I just wiped up some of the splashes. Now I'm stirring everything together. And the liquid is not boiling yet. It's just kind of really slow simmer. Alright, so the chicken. I showed you guys earlier that I had the chicken. I told you I thawed it out in the refrigerator. Don't thaw it out on the counter overnight or leave it in water overnight. Don't do that. Thawed the chicken out in the refrigerator, and then today I just put the chicken in water to kind of let it come up to room temperature. You don't want to put frozen chicken in here because it'll just take forever for your water to boil. Let's go ahead and rinse these off. Get them ready to wash. Alright. So the gumbo is just now starting to want to try to come to a low boil. You don't want to get it to a to a heated boil. Let's try to fix the camera here a little bit better. Okay, so now we're going to start putting some of the spices in. I just kind of eyeball it, kind of just a couple times around the pot. The white, the red, and the black will each add its own distinct flavor. I'm not putting a lot in there right now. We can always add more to it later. And the vinegar-based hot sauce. And again, with the salt, just a little bit of salt. We can always add more salt later. You can't take the salt out. Give it a good stir. Chicken's going to probably have to cook at this temperature maybe 30 minutes. Chicken is thawed out, but it's a whole piece of chicken. Now, I haven't put the gumbo filet in there yet. The gumbo filet will actually thicken up the gumbo. And gumbos are basically broken down into two types: okra gumbo and filet gumbo. Both the okra and the filet will thicken the gumbo. Don't use both at the same time. If you want to put okra in there, put the okra in probably the last 30 minutes of cooking. Because if you cook it and keep cooking it and keep cooking it, the okra will pretty much dissolve. And people say, hey, where's okra? So we're going to let that go. You see it's got a kind of a small rolling boil. We'll let it go for like about 30 minutes like that, keeping an eye on it. And here's a little tip. For the remaining roux that was in the cast iron skillet, let it cool off totally. Take paper towels, wipe it out, throw it in trash, wipe it out, throw it in trash. Keep wiping it out until no more roux is on the bottom. And yes, we are going to wash it with soap and water. Do not scrub the cast iron skillet. Just wipe it out with paper towel, get it as clean as you can. A little bit of soap and water. Put it on the stove, let it dry. Low heat, just to where it's not going to rust. And you can come back later and put a little bit more vegetable oil on top there to keep it seasoned. Okay, so the gumbo has been at this slow rolling boil probably about 30 minutes. We're going to take a couple pieces of the chicken thigh out and see if they're cooked all the way through. And if they are, we'll take all the chicken thighs out, just shred them up just to make it easier, put it back in, and then we're going to add the gumbo filet. Of course, we will taste it to make sure we got the spice level right. Okay, so trying to position the camera here. So the gumbo, I did shred the chicken. Everything's in there. The chicken will fall apart a little bit more as you cook it. But you'll notice it's a low heat. I'm going to bring it up just barely a simmer. I'm going to let it go for like about an hour. The gumbo will clear up a little bit, not quite as cloudy, some, but I did taste a little bit. I had put about this much into a little bowl, just the liquid sausage and chicken, and definitely needed more salt and more spice. I added that in a little bit. We'll come back later, taste it again. If we need more, we'll put more in. right now what we're going to do, remember I told you about the filet. Let's get the camera here. There you go. So with the filet, I'm going to put probably about two caps full. That was one. I'm not going to show you. You just saw it. Put the second cap full. Stir it around a little bit. Mix it all up. And when you put the filet in there, it'll look like you have little spots of green clumps. That's the filet, don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to cook this about another 30 to 45 minutes. I'll check on it every so often. In about 30-45 minutes we'll taste it again. Just let it slow and easy. Okay, right now it's about 1:30. Yeah, about 1:30. I started cooking this a little bit before 11. Gumbo takes a while if you're going to cook it right. So you can see I got it. Just a couple of bubbles in there boiling. Not really boiling, just simmer. And let it go. Check it every 5-10 minutes. Keep it at that. 30-45 minutes. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to let it set for about 30-45 minutes. Cook it again. 30-45 minutes. Turn it off. Let it set for about an hour. We'll keep going there. The gumbo will probably be ready. See, I said it's 1:30 right now. Gumbo will probably be ready to actually start eating with rice and everything probably by about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And of course I will show you videos of the finished product and me eating it and wiggling my toes. Well, maybe not show you the toe wiggling, but you get the idea. Okay, and there's the finished product. Getting ready to eat a bowl, lay down on the couch, watch a little TV afterwards, and hope you guys enjoy it.